Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I will compare all the old class order mounts from Legion with the new ones that we will be able to get in Legion Remix. And I will also just explain which ones are the clear winners and the ones that sadly won't really have any changes with the new mounts that will be available through Remix. Just before I start showing you the new mounts, just a quick reminder, in order for you to get these mounts, it's actually going to be pretty simple. You just need to reach level 80 with the right class, and when you do so, you automatically receive the mount. So for instance, if you get to level 80 with a Death Knight, you will get this mount right here. And so if you want, you can just level up one of each of the different classes in order to get all the different mounts. But if you also just want to play on one character, what you can do after that is directly buy these mounts with your bronze, which is the currency linked to Remix, for 20,000 each, which is really not too much. And so basically these mounts are actually going to be pretty easy to get overall. Okay, so let's start with the Demon Hunter mount. As you can see, this Demon Hunter mount is actually really cool. This is a fell bat, and this is one of the first fell bats that we ever had in the game. And overall, I think this is a pretty impressive mount. So there is all the different armors, and the mount is mainly purple and red as well. And now let's compare to the version that we will be able to get in Legion Remix, which is the fell version. And I actually do think that this version looks even more cool. I personally love the white coat on the mount and also the wings. I think the details on the wings is super cool. And overall, I think this is a really cool mount. So I'm pretty sure that players are going to be pretty happy with this one. And this is definitely a really good transformation compared to the original one from Legion. So now let's have a look at the Death Knight mount. So the Death Knight mount is one of the skeletal Wyrm mount, which I think looks really cool. It's very similar to the ones we got through ICC back in Wrath of the Lich King, but there's definitely more details. There's the armor, and even for instance the saddle, you have like all the different swords, the skulls, and also this thing right here. So overall, this is a really nice mount. And you have 3 different colors available for each of the different spec. So Frost is obviously the blue one, as you can see. Then we have the Blood one, which is this one, which looks really cool as well. Here you can see all the details and the glowing effects. And then we also have the Unholy mount, which is the green one. And now let's compare this mount to the new mount from Legion Remix. And basically here, as you can see, for Unholy Death Knight, it's not going to be a big difference. This one is just a little bit more pale. So the green is a little slightly different. But all in all, this is almost the exact same thing. The armor is also a little bit different. Here they added a little bit more colors, as you can see. But really, if you just see both of them next to each other, you probably won't really notice that they're different. So here, personally, I think it sucks a little bit for Unholy Death Knights, but at least for Frost and also for Blood Death Knight, they will not be able to use like 2 of these different models. But again, I think overall, the Death Knights are definitely not a clear winner with these new remix mounts. Now let's move to the Paladin's mount. So the Paladin's mount is this pretty cool horse right here, and this is a flying mount, so you can also fly with this horse. So here again, I like the details on the mount. There's quite a lot, and it's also the same details a little bit to some of the different transmog sets you were able to get back in Legion. So here again, you have different colors that are available for each of the different spec. And as you can see, these are the different colors right here. So none of them are green, and that's why here is definitely better, because then that's the version from Legion Remix. And actually, when you compare it to these other models right here, it does feel really different and it does feel really nice. Even though I don't think this is the coolest one of these new remix mounts, it's definitely a really big change compared to these other ones. And even for instance on the armor, you can see that there's more like details, there's more things. For instance, it has been scratched and everything. So I think overall this is pretty good, and Paladins might be pretty happy, especially as Paladins don't really have a lot of like green fell transmog in the game. Let's now move to the Warlock mount. So here we have another horse, but this time this is one of these undead horse. And I think it looks really cool. Again, the design was super cool on these different mounts. So you have so much details on the armor and on like the mount in general. So you have the purple version, you also had the orange version, and finally you had the green version right here. So these are the three original mounts from Legion. And now this is the version from Legion Remix. So here, very similar to the Death Knight, there's not a big difference. It's definitely a little bit better because here you have like way more glowing effect happening also on the horns, on the rest of the armor compared to this one. But it's still basically another green mount. So I still think it's better than the Death Knight personally because again, there's more details, there's a little bit more of everything. But it's still something that might not be a big change, especially for warlocks who already have this mount right here. Now let's look at the Hunter mount. So the Hunter mount is this really interesting creature here. Actually, this is the only mount that has this model, so this is pretty cool. Even though the Hunter mount is definitely not my favorite model out of all these different class order all mounts. So this is what it will look like when it flies. So again, we have three different colors available for each of the different spec. This is the first one. Then we have this other one right here. Then we have this other one, which is more red slash orange. And then finally, there is the new one from Legion Remix, which is this one right here. So here, I mean, it's definitely new because even though this one has a little bit of green on it, it's still nothing comparable. So it's not the same as with the Warlock or the Death Knight, but it's just that in general, I'm not a big fan of this model. So it's just like, I don't think this mount is really exciting, but at least it's definitely like a brand new color for this mount. And so hopefully for some hunters, it will be pretty cool to get. Now let's have a look at the Mage mount. So the Mage mount is this really cool disc mount. And here again, this is something that will change depending on the spec. So this is the first one for the Arcane spec. Then for the Fire one, you have the Fiery disc right here. And then for the Frost, you have the Blue right here. And I think overall, these mounts are all super, super cool. Also, each time, as you can see, they change. You have either like the little like Force Shard or the Fireball and everything. And these are really nice mounts. And now let's have a look at the one from Legion Remix. And here, as you can see, this is a really, really cool model. So personally, I think these look really good and probably one of the best out of all these new remix class overhauls. And as you can see, you have like all the different runes, for instance, on the side. You have like the little like fell crystals. They're a little bit similar to these ones, but still, I think it's really nice. So there's a lot of details on this mount. And overall, I think, again, this is one of the clear winners from all the different classes because this one looks really, really awesome. So now let's have a look at the monk mount. And this is this really cool tiger right here. So again, I think this is overall a really cool model. And one fun fact about this mount is that this is, I believe, the only talking mount. It will actually talk to you. So I think this is pretty cool. So this is the only version that we had back in Legion. And now the new version from Remix is this one right here. And so here I think this is another clear winner because the difference is really big. And especially I believe monks don't have too many of these spell mounts as well. So again, I think really this one changes completely. I love the color on this mount. And I think overall, this is a really awesome mount. So I'm sure a lot of players are going to be really happy to get this new fell version right here. Now let's have a look at the priest mount. So this is this weird old mount. Personally, I've never been a big fan of this one. And that's how it will look like when it will fly. So it definitely has really nice wings and everything. But yeah, I've just never been the biggest fan of this model. So again, here you will have the different colors available for each of the different spec. You have the Holy version. You then have the Shadow version right here. Again, let me just show it with the wings. And finally, you will also have the Discipline version, which is the blue version. So again, I think, yeah, overall, not the best model, but the colors of this are really nice. And now let's have a look at the remix version, which is this green pale version right here. And again, then you can see it with the wings. So personally, I'm not the biggest fan because I feel like the green is a little bit weird on the model. I just don't really like this particular green. I think on the wings, of course, it's really nice. And also right here, the little glowing effect, I think is really cool. But over than that, I'm just really not a big fan of the color of the feathers. I think it just doesn't look that great. So anyway, this is my take on it. If you're playing a priest, let me know if you enjoy this mount or not. And definitely it's a different color, so still something new and still something great to get for priests. Now let's move to the rogue mount. So here we have these pretty cool crow mounts. So again, I think these are pretty nice, using the same models, for instance, as the parrot mounts from BFA and everything. So we have 4 different versions for these different mounts. So first we have this like dark green version. Then we have the red version right here, which I think looks pretty cool. Then we have the black version, which is definitely the most traditional one, let's say. And then also the dark blue version. So all of them are pretty dark, but overall I think this is a pretty cool model. And then we have the new version from Legion Remix, which is also pretty dark, but I do like the color of the feathers. I think it looks pretty cool the way it just kind of like glows inside of the feathers. Maybe it could have been a little bit more green, maybe with a little bit more fair animations, but overall, I think this is still a pretty decent mount. And I'm sure if you're playing a rogue, you're going to be happy to get this mount during Legion Remix. Then let's move to the Shaman mount, and here it was by far one of the coolest mounts that we got in Legion. It was one of the only elemental mounts that existed, and especially that big, it was really unique, and I remember people really freaked out when this mount got announced. So we have the different colors available for this mount. First, you have the elemental color right here. Then you have the enhancements. And finally, you also have the restoration. So all of them look pretty cool. And now let's have a look at the remix version, which is also definitely one of the coolest new versions of these different class order all mounts. I think the green here looks super cool. I think the overall aesthetic of the mount works really well with this spell theme. And so I think shamans are going to be extremely happy to get this version right here. And this is by far one of the coolest ones of these new remix class mounts. And finally, we have the warrior mount. So this is this pretty cool proto drake or proto worm. And again, I think this mount looks really badass. I always loved all the armor on the mount and also the fact that it's a different model, especially the head and everything is completely different than the other proto drakes. So all in all, I think this is a really cool model. So this is the arms version. Then you have the purple one for protection. And finally, my favorite one was the black one for Fury. And now let's have a look at the new version. And in my opinion, this is also one of the coolest new mounts that we're getting through Legion Remix. I mean, it looks absolutely awesome. I love the green on the Proto Drake. Also, I'm pretty sure we never had any green Proto Drake like that. So I think this is absolutely awesome. And again, here you can see they really added all these extra things on the wings. For instance, you have all these different things that make this mount even cooler. We just show it to you when, for instance, it will fly. So here you just want to add that. And as you can see, you can really enjoy the green of the wings and also all the details. So overall, I think this is also an amazing change compared to the one from Legion. So personally, my ranking is probably this one is first. I think this is absolutely incredible. Then I'm also going to put this one. I really love this new mage mount. Then we also have this spell bat right here. Again, looks really cool. Then the new monk mounts. And finally, also the warrior mount. I think these are definitely the best ones. So let me know in the comments if you agree or not. But these are really the ones that I think players are going to be the most excited for because they're so cool and the color is so different than the normal ones we got through Legion. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite mount from these new remix mounts, and in general, which one is your favorite class order or mount. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime, I wish you all a great day. Bye!